Now this week the S&P 500 finished the week trading up 6%, which is something that I personally believe that it has to be a very good thing, because you remember that the S&P 500 for the past 7 weeks it has been dropping sharply, or it has been finishing the week on a red. We've been seeing red candles on a weekly basis for the past 7 weeks on this S&P 500. Now to get to see them after 7 weeks closing, or the S&P 500 closing on a green, it's something that is incredible, and must just show you that it looks like the market might not perform that bad as some of the analysts believe it would. Now, one of the things that of course made the markets to recover this week, it was the upbeat of retail guidance and the easing of Fed fears. As you know that on Wednesday the Federal Reserve came out and said that they will probably increase the interest rates by 0.5% in their next, of course, meeting, which is something that of course some investors or retail investors were expecting a much aggressive move from the Fed, increasing these interest rate hikes. Now to get to see that, of course, the Fed came in and said that they'll probably increase interest rates by 0.5%, made most of the retail investors to sort of like become comfortable putting in their money back in the markets, which is why we saw the S&P 500 closing up 6% for this week, which is something that for those of you that follow me on Facebook, you'll remember that I did a live video indicating that I believe that a green week was long overdue, looking at the fact that the stock market has been dropping for the past 7 weeks. Now, of course, we get deep into this topic. You already know that this video is just an entertainment video, and you should not take it as a professional financial advice video. Now, I would really appreciate if you can just hit that like button if you do enjoy the content that I'll be giving you about the overall stock market this week. So one of the things that of course made the market to recover this week, like I said, it was the solid retail earnings, and together with the comments made by the Fed of saying that they will be increasing probably the interest rates by 0.5%, which, like I said, many of the analysts, many of the retail investors were hoping, or they had in mind, that it looks like the Fed might become more and more aggressive. Now getting to see them coming out and say that they will increase interest rates probably by 0.5% or by 50 basis points, it was one of the things that made the retail investors to actually go in the markets and probably put more money in the markets, which is something that of course made the S&P 500, or is one of the things that may resulted in the S&P 500 closing the week up 6%. Now this, ladies and gents, does not mean that we're out of the spider web yet, because you know that inflation in the US, it's still very high, though of course the latest reports, some of the latest reports are showing that some of the property sellers, or those people that are selling properties in the US, are starting to consider reducing the prices of their properties, which is something that must make us to see that it looks like these interest rate hikes are probably starting to curb this high inflation. It is a good sign to us, the retail investors, to say that maybe this is one of the reasons why the Fed is taking a step back when rising, or when it comes to rising these interest rates, and will probably rise them at a much safer way, if there's something like that, or if I can call it like that, which is something that the retail investors really like, or are really liking to see this, which is why we saw, like I said, most of the retail investors coming back in the markets and loading and buying short stocks again. I mean, if we were to check some of the big guns like Berkshire Hathaway, they've been accumulating a lot of stocks during this time, which is something that of course they see, or they foresee that this is short-term headwinds. The high inflation are definitely short-term headwinds, and they believe that the markets will recover very soon, which is exactly the same thing that I've been telling you guys, to say that this low trading price that you might be seeing on some of your top favorite stocks, so these low trading prices that you've been seeing on some of the top indices, it's one of the things that ought to encourage you to continue doing a dollar cost averaging and going in the market and load the boat on the stock stocks, ETFs, and the index funds you like, because one way or the other, this market will recover. The stock market will recover. This is not the first time we are seeing such instances. We've seen them in the past, and guess what happened? The markets always recover, which is one of the things that, of course, as a retail investor, it must motivate you to continue loading the boat when you see these shuffles in the market, because like I said, they will recover. I mean, the Nasdaq, Dow, and the S&P 500, they have seen some good weekly gains, which of course they had never seen such gains ever since March of 2022, which is something that, like I said, it is something that brings hope, confidence again to some of the investors to come in the markets, because we might not get to see the market, or we might not see things going really that bad, which is something that of course is making the investors, or some of the investors, to come in yet again and put in some more money in the market. Now, the highlight, or the main highlight to me this week, was the fact that the Federal Reserve came in and actually said they will increase, or in the next FOMC, they might increase interest rates by 0.5%, which is something that is incredible, because again, when the Federal Reserve aggressively increase interest rates, not only do they choke off inflation, but they also choke off the economic growth, which is something that of course they also need to think about, which is one of the main reasons which I personally believe that it also made them to come on this decision to say that they might increase interest rates by 0.5% even the next time they increase interest rates, which is something that I personally believe that this, ladies and gents, will make the markets not to poorly perform as some of the analysts are expecting, but will make the markets to, of course, be at that place where it can also easily recover from the sharp falls that we are witnessing. I mean, this week already, the markets, like I said, they were up, or S&P 500 finished up 6%, which is something that is incredible. Otherwise, with all that, guys, I just thought I should just give you this quick updates as to what really happened in the stock market this week, because I of course saw some of the people asking what's really happening. Are we out of the spider web yet in terms of inflation? And which the answer is simply no. Inflation is still very high, which is why I personally believe that yeah, we can still expect to see headwinds in the overall stock market at large, though the good comments by the Federal Reserve and of course the earnings or retail earnings beat, of course, were some of the things that of course made investors to again be comfortable putting money in the stock market, was the main thing that helped the market this week. I personally believe that this does not mean that we are out of the headwinds. Headwinds are still there because inflation is still high. Otherwise, with all that, guys, I personally believe that this is a time that when you see the markets drop, or when you see your stocks falling, you have to take an opportunity, or a good opportunity, and load the boat onto those stocks, those ETFs, those indices, because one way or the other, these markets will recover. Otherwise, with all that, guys, I make tons and tons of stock market investing videos, and if you think that this video was amazing, please don't forget to hit that like button, comment, and subscribe. And once you subscribe, don't forget to hit that notification bell so that at least you get notified by YouTube every time we drop a similar content like this. Otherwise, that's all from me, and I wish you nothing but the best in your stock market investing journey, and God bless you all.